Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Nitrostorm here, welcome back to Revived Witch. So before we get started with Broken Lands, ensure that your auto settings are on free mode. So welcome back to Broken Lands. Unfortunately I was a bit late, apologies for that. Without further ado, let's get started. So Area 1, take a look at the enemy info. These guys, there are 4 of them, they're called Unstable Rock Cores and they will deal magic damage to a single target. And it's mainly the frontline unit, so ensure that your frontline unit is either tanky or you have a sacrifice. So in our case, Avil is not enough to tank them because he is a physical based tank, and so we need to add someone else to the party. So this is going to be our comp. We have Yurugu, Avil and Sazerni. So if you take a look at their stats, starting with Sazerni, you don't need to invest in her skills at all, you only need her first skill. And you can give her some stats if you want to, just to heal a little bit more, but not necessary. Next up, we have Avil. Unlock his second skill. Again, you don't need to raise him up that much, as you know, all it will do is speed up the process of clearing Area 1. And last but not least, Yurugu. As you can see, she's not really raised at all. Just give her magic defense based gear and HP, just so she can survive enough time for Avil and Sazerni to get started with their perma CC. Without further ado, let's get right into Area 1, the formation being Yurugu, Avil, and Sazerni. Alright, just get some stamina there. Alright, there we go. So, easy, straightforward stuff. S1, Sazerni, S2, Avil, and ensure that during burst, you choose Avil's second skill right away to ensure the permanent CC, and then you'll be granted with an easy win. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If your characters weren't raised at all, then they sort of taken a little bit longer, but it's fine. Alright, moving on to Area 2. So if you take a look at the enemy info, we're up against the Gigas Magman. There's going to be 2 of them, and they deal both physical and magical damage. So you kind of want to hybridize the defensive stats a little bit, but I would emphasize a little bit more on physical defense. And so the team comp is usually just having a tanky frontliner, and then, you know, followed by a support with DPS. In this case, we're going to be using Arcana and Pakane. So if you take a look at their stats, for our tanky frontliner, if you have somewhere along these stats, then you should be good. In this case, I would recommend using a Guardian to have these defensive stats. I'm only using Witch with Legendary gear just to have that free-to-play feel. We're not really going to be using her skills, so it could really be anyone. Next up, we have Arcana. So I would suggest passive level 1 minimum. And then I guess around this stats, just to have a good amount of healing. Up next, last but not least, we have Pakane. Just have her second skill unlocked. You can upgrade or invest into her further if you wanted to. And then just give her as much attack as possible. Alright, so for the team formation, you want your tanky frontliner up front, followed by Arcana and then Pakane. So Arcana and Pakane could be in any order, but in any case, S1 into Arcana, S2 into Pakane, and then during Arcana burst, you want to set the S2 on Pakane, just to ensure that the enemies are perma CC'd, and there's going to be a chance that your tanky frontliner might, you know, be defeated, but it would be to the point where you would have your Arcana burst unleashed, and so you would end up defeating them in the end anyway without your tank. Alright, moving on to Area 3. So if you take a look at the enemy info, it's pretty much the same thing except we're fighting the Wildfire Magman, and so there are 2 of them, and these guys also deal physical and magical damage, so again you kind of want to hybridize your defensive stats, but leaning towards more to physical defense. So for this comp, we're going to be using Setez up front as your frontliner again, but we're going to be using her mainly because of her crowd control as well. Next up, we have Sinesha. She is also free to play, and then followed by Mikoto. So if you take a look at their stats, starting with Setez, you just build her as tanky as you can, and then if you move on to Mikoto, ensure you have at least her S1 at level 2, and these are her stats, give her as much attack as possible. Also for Setez, forgot to mention, unlock her second skill as we're going to be using that. And last but not least, we have Sinesha, and her job is mainly to have good healing across the board. She recently got her unique equipment, which is very nice for everyone, including free-to-play. Alright, so for the team formation, you want to have Setes up front, followed by Sinesha and then Mikoto. So the free auto is pretty simple. S1 on Mikoto, S2 on Setes, and then pretty much that's about it really. You just spam S2 on Setes during Arcana Burst, and then you pretty much just watch the rest of the fight go. So this might take a while, so I'll see you right at the end of it. Alright, so that's about it. You know, it took a little while, 84 seconds, but it's still pretty decent. Alright, so if you've been following my video up until this point, then again, Area 4 should be the easiest stage for you to complete, as we've only used free-to-play characters that anyone can obtain easily and use. And so, for this example, we're going to be using another free-to-play composition just in case. So in this case, we're going to be using Yui up front, followed by Flora, and then Dorin at the rear. And the replacement for Dorin, in case you don't have her, as she is an event character, however she is free to play, you can replace her with a Gacha SSR Tama, the one down here. She's also a Saltstone Compeller, leaning more towards the defensive side, and so it might actually be easier to use Tama in terms of surviving. But again, it will take a little bit longer for it to complete. However, you should still be able to complete the area. Alright, so if you take a look at their stats, so these are Yui's stats. I recently made her passive level 2, but she is good enough with passive level 1 and all legendary gear. I gave her this armor so that she can survive against the boss. Next up we have Flora. Passive level 1 is also good enough, and just give her as much attack as possible. And last but not least, we have Dorin. Passive level 1 is fine. I just recently made a passive level 2, but she only really needs to survive, and so you don't really need to invest in her that much. Alright, so before we do the team formation, if you take a quick look at the enemy info, you can see that he does a lot of physical damage with a bit of magical damage, but I would focus more on physical defense. In any case, I would focus on having this formation with Yui, Flora, and Dorin. And let's get started. So the first thing you want to do is set Flora to S1 and Yui to S2, just so we can get her transformed right away. And after Yui is transformed, you switch to Dorin S2, just so we can quickly get the Flora charge skill up. And then during Arcana Burst, you want to switch Yui S1 with Dorin S2 during Arcana Burst. And then outside of Arcana Burst, then you would S1 with Yui and S2 Dorin. So this one finished quite quickly because of Yui's passive level 2 and, you know, higher multipliers in her S1, and so it did big damage. But in any case, if you had Tama instead of Dorin, you should still be able to complete it easily. And that's about it, guys. If you've noticed, we've used the same comps as we did a few weeks ago, and that's mainly because it is, I guess, the most free-to-play I can get at the moment. I can try and change Dorin at some point if we get a good enough support for the back there, which I think we do have one already, so I'll take a look at that. But in any case, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any ideas for me in terms of broken lands, like if I should keep doing free-to-play clears, the main reason why I, you know, keep doing these free-to-play clears, you know, every week is to mainly just update everyone and to ensure that people are, you know, if people are coming into the game at a recent time, like they're relatively new, they can just easily check the latest Broken Lands video on my channel if they find me, and then they can just follow that. So in any case, hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's been your boy Nitrostorm. I'll see you guys in the next stream or video. Peace.